Dr. Sarah Chen stared at the signal pattern pulsing across her quantum computer's display, her heart racing. After 15 years of searching the cosmos for signs of intelligent life, the Berkeley SETI Institute had finally caught something extraordinary, a repeating pattern that couldn't be explained by any natural phenomenon. "Director Walsh," she called out, her voice steady despite her excitement. "I think you need to see this." James Walsh hurried across the control room, his weathered face illuminated by the blue glow of multiple screens. The facility had been nearly empty at 3 a.m. when the signal first appeared, but now, as dawn approached, more scientists were arriving, drawn by urgent messages about a potential discovery. "Show me," Walsh said, leaning over Sarah's shoulder. "The pattern repeats every 73 seconds. It's being broadcast on multiple frequencies simultaneously, using quantum entanglement principles we've only theorized about. This isn't random cosmic noise, it's a message." Walsh studied the data scrolling across the screen. After 30 years in the field, he'd seen countless false positives. But this was different. "Have you begun decryption?" "Yes." Sarah nodded, pulling up another window. "The base mathematics appear to be universal. They're using prime numbers as a foundation, just like we predicted first contact might work. But there's something else." She hesitated. "What is it?" "The signal. It's not coming from deep space. It's coming from just beyond Mars' orbit. And it's getting stronger." 12 hours later, Sarah found herself in a secure underground facility beneath the Pentagon, explaining her findings to a room full of military brass and government officials. General Miranda Rodriguez, head of the newly formed Space Defense Command, led the briefing. "To be clear, Dr. Chen," Rodriguez said, "you're telling us that whoever sent this signal is already in our solar system." "Yes. Based on the signal strength and trajectory, we estimate a large vessel or fleet of vessels will reach Earth orbit within 48 hours. The room erupted in worried murmurs. Rodriguez raised a hand for silence. "Dr. Chen, what exactly does the message say?" Sarah projected a holographic translation matrix. "It's from something called the Hegemony Diplomatic Corps. They're requesting immediate contact with Earth's leadership to discuss our recent technological advances." "What advances?" someone asked from the back of the room. "They specifically mention our quantum communication experiments and our early attempts at FTL travel." Rodriguez exchanged glances with a silver-haired man in a black suit who hadn't spoken yet. He gave her a slight nod. "Dr. Chen," Rodriguez said carefully, "what would you say if I told you we already knew they were coming?" Sarah's eyes widened. "What?" "5 years ago, we detected their long-range surveillance drones at the edge of our solar system. We've been preparing ever since. Those quantum communication experiments weren't just experiments. They were tests of our defensive capabilities." The silver-haired man finally spoke. "The hegemony isn't here for diplomatic relations, Dr. Chen. They're here because they're afraid of us. Human technological development has progressed faster than any species they've encountered. They see us as a threat." "How could you possibly know all this?" Sarah demanded. Rodriguez pressed a button, and the room's walls transformed into transparent displays, showing a massive underground facility. In the center stood a ship unlike anything Sarah had ever seen, sleek, dark, and somehow both beautiful and terrifying. "Because," Rodriguez said, "we captured one of their scouts, and what we learned from their technology helped us build that." She gestured to the ship, the EDS Phoenix, Earth's first true warship, and the only thing standing between us and what's coming. Sarah stared at the vessel, its hull seeming to absorb light rather than reflect it. "What's coming? What do you mean?" "The hegemony has a standard procedure for dealing with potentially threatening civilizations," the silver-haired man explained. "First contact is always diplomatic, but it's a facade. While they talk peace, their fleet moves into position. Then they demand submission to hegemony rule. If refused, they attack. They'd done it 17 times to other civilizations. But this time," Rodriguez added, They're going to find something they've never encountered before. She turned to Sarah. Dr. Chen, we need your help. You're the best xenolinguist we have, and you've already started decoding their communications. Will you join the Phoenix's crew? Sarah looked from the general to the mysterious ship and back. Her whole life had been dedicated to finding alien life, to proving humanity wasn't alone in the universe. Now that moment had arrived, but not in any way she'd imagined. When do we start? She asked. Rodriguez smiled grimly. Now, because in 47 hours, either humanity proves itself ready to join the galactic community on our own terms, or we become the 18th civilization to face the hegemony's version of peace. As Sarah followed Rodriguez toward the Phoenix, alarms began blaring throughout the facility. A young officer ran up to them, face pale. General, new contacts just appeared in orbit around Jupiter, a lot of them. The hegemony fleet didn't wait 48 hours. They're here now. Rodriguez's expression hardened. Then we don't wait either. Sound general quarters. The Phoenix launches in 30 minutes. She looked at Sarah, ready to make history, Doctor. Sarah watched as the massive facility came alive with activity, crews rushing to their stations, the Phoenix's hull beginning to pulse with energy she didn't understand. Not really, she admitted. But I don't think we have a choice. No, Rodriguez agreed. We don't. Welcome to humanity's first war among the stars, Dr. Chen. Let's hope we're as ready as we think we are. The EDA's Phoenix rose through the massive underwater launch facility, ocean currents sliding off its dark hull like liquid mercury. In the bridge, Dr. Sarah Chen gripped her console as the ship ascended, watching holographic displays track the approaching hegemony fleet. Quantum drive spooling up, announced Lieutenant Maya Patel, the ship's chief engineer. Stealth systems at maximum capacity. General Rodriguez stood at the command station, her presence steady and calm despite the tension filling the bridge. Status of the hegemony fleet. 37 capital ships detected near Jupiter's orbit, reported Commander David Nash, tactical officer. They're moving in a standard attack formation, exactly like the intel from the captured scout suggested they would. Sarah studied the alien communications flooding her linguistics matrix. They're broadcasting on all frequencies, demanding Earth's immediate surrender to hegemony authority. Well, Rodriguez smiled thinly. Let's introduce ourselves properly. Lieutenant Patel, activate the Chaos Engine. Sarah watched in fascination as new displays materialized around them. The Phoenix's hull began resonating at quantum frequencies she'd never seen before. What exactly is a Chaos Engine? She asked. Something impossible, Patil answered with pride. We reversed engineered it from the hegemony scout ship, but we understood it better than they did. They use quantum technology for basic FTL travel and communications. We figured out how to weaponize it. The Phoenix breached the ocean's surface, water cascading off energy shields that bent light around the vessel. To any observer, human or alien, they were invisible. Hegemony fleet is launching fighter squadrons, Nash reported. They're moving to surround Earth. Rodriguez nodded. Just as expected, they always followed the same tactical doctrine. Surround, overwhelm, and demand surrender. Execute Phoenix Protocol Alpha. The ship surged forward, quantum drives engaging without any conventional thrust. Sarah felt a momentary disorientation as space itself seemed to twist around them. We're now positioned behind their fleet, Nash announced. They haven't detected us. Send the message, Dr. Chen, Rodriguez ordered. The one we prepared. Sarah activated the quantum communications array, broadcasting on frequencies he knew the hegemony would understand. Attention hegemony fleet. This is the Earth defense ship Phoenix. Your tactical doctrine is known. Your technology is understood. Withdraw immediately or face the consequences of underestimating humanity. The response was immediate. The hegemony fleet began turning, energy weapons charging. But they were firing at empty space, their targeting systems confused by the Phoenix's quantum signature. They're trying to adapt, Nash reported. switching to their secondary protocols. Perfect. Rodriguez smiled. Lieutenant Patel, show them why we named this ship Phoenix. Patel's hands danced across her console, initiating quantum field multiplication. Sarah gasped as her displays showed multiple quantum signatures suddenly appearing around them. The Phoenix was creating quantum duplicates of itself, perfect copies that existed simultaneously in multiple spaces. Impossible, she whispered. The energy requirements alone. That's humanity's advantage, Rodriguez explained. We don't accept impossible. Nash, weapons free. Show them what else we've learned. The Phoenix and its quantum duplicates opened fire, but instead of conventional energy weapons, they launched what looked like tiny points of light. Where these points touched hegemony ships, space itself seemed to twist and distort. Localized quantum singularities, Patel explained, seeing Sarah's confusion. We're not destroying their ships. We're temporarily removing sections of them from normal spacetime. The effect was devastating. Hegemony vessels found themselves suddenly missing engines, weapons arrays, or entire sections of hull. Their rigid tactical doctrine had no protocols for this kind of attack. They're breaking formation, Nash reported with satisfaction. 3 capital ships heavily damaged. The rest are falling back to regroup. Dr. Chen, Rodriguez called. What are they saying now? Sarah listened to the frantic communications. They're confused, scared even. They're reporting that our technology shouldn't be possible, that we violated fundamental laws of physics. Good. Rodriguez nodded. Send another message. This was a demonstration. The next attack will not be so limited. You have 1 hour to leave the solar system. As Sarah transmitted the ultimatum, she studied the damaged hegemony ships. They really didn't expect this, did they? They thought we'd be primitive, easy to overwhelm. That's why they'll lose, Rodriguez said firmly. The hegemony has ruled through technological superiority for so long they've stopped innovating. They just copy and distribute the same technology to each new species they conquer. But humanity. We took their tech and made it do things they never imagined, Patel finished proudly. Suddenly, Nash's console flared with warnings. General, multiple quantum signatures detected. They're calling in reinforcements. As expected, Rodriguez remained calm. They've never retreated before. They can't allow themselves to show weakness. Dr. Chen, send a message to Earth Command. Execute Phoenix Protocol Beta. What's Protocol Beta? Sarah asked as she sent the message. The answer came as hundreds of quantum signatures suddenly appeared around Earth. Hidden facilities around the planet had activated, revealing more ships, smaller than the Phoenix, but built with the same technology. Did you think we only built one ship? Rodriguez smiled at Sarah's shocked expression. The Phoenix was our prototype, our proof of concept. While the hegemony watched our public space program and thought us primitive, we were building a fleet. Sarah looked at her displays, watching hegemony commanders react with increasing panic to the revelation of Earth's true capabilities. So what happens now? She asked. Now, Rodriguez said, we show them that humanity isn't just another species to be conquered. We're something they've never encountered before. She turned to her crew. Battle stations. Let's teach the hegemony why they should have left Earth alone. The Phoenix moved forward, its quantum duplicates shimmering like deadly mirages, as the first true space battle between humanity and the hegemony began. And for the first time in their long history of conquest, the hegemony faced an enemy that didn't play by their rules. 3 months after humanity's first battle with the hegemony, the EDS Phoenix drifted silently through the debris field that had once been a hegemony monitoring station. Dr. Sarah Chen studied the quantum signals emanating from a nearby planet, signals that didn't match any known hegemony patterns. General, she called to Rodriguez, I'm detecting communications from the surface. They're using quantum frequencies to hide from hegemony sensors, but the encryption, it's remarkably similar to what we developed on Earth. Rodriguez joined her at the linguistics station. Are you saying another species independently developed quantum communications? Not independently, came a new voice. A hologram materialized on the bridge. Tall, humanoid, with iridescent skin and multifaceted eyes. We learned from watching you. Nash's hands moved to his weapons console, but Rodriguez waved him down. I am General Rodriguez of Earth. How did you access our systems? Your quantum security is excellent, the hologram replied. But we've been studying your battles with the hegemony. I am First Speaker Zora of the Arcturus Collective. We would very much like to talk. Hours later, Sarah sat in a massive underground chamber on the planet's surface, surrounded by representatives of the Arcturus Collective. Their story was both fascinating and disturbing. The hegemony conquered our outer colonies 50 years ago, Zara explained. But we had already hidden our core worlds using primitive quantum technology. We've watched, waited, and learned. When we saw how you fought them, you realized there was finally hope. Rodriguez finished. More than hope, another Arcturan said. You proved the hegemony isn't invincible. Their technology can be improved upon, their tactics countered. You showed us what we couldn't see before. Sarah looked at the technical data they'd shared. You've been improving your quantum technology based on observing our battles. Some of these innovations, we hadn't even thought of them. That's why we revealed ourselves, Zara said. We want to join forces. Other species are watching too. The Centauri Remnant, the Proxima Alliance. All of us, hidden, resistant, but afraid to fight back. Until now. Rodriguez studied a tactical display showing hegemony fleet movements. They're getting desperate. Losing battles, losing face. They've never failed to conquer a target species before. And now their whole system of control is at risk. Zara nodded. If one species can resist successfully, then others will try. Sarah understood. We're not just fighting battles, we're threatening their entire power structure, which makes them more dangerous, Nash pointed out. They'll commit everything they have to crushing us, making an example. Let them try, Rodriguez said firmly. Because we're not just fighting for Earth anymore. She turned to Zora. Tell us what resources you have. Let's show the hegemony what happens when their victims start working together. Over the next few weeks, the Phoenix became the center of an unprecedented alliance. Sarah found herself working with xenolinguists from 4 different species, developing a unified quantum communication system. Lieutenant Potel collaborated with alien engineers, combining technologies in ways none of them had imagined possible. Look at this, Patel said excitedly one day, showing Sarah a new device. The Centauri figured out how to use quantum fields for healing. We're adapting it for our shields. Instead of just blocking attacks, they'll repair damage instantly. But the hegemony wasn't idle. Reports came in of massive fleet movements, new weapons being deployed. They were adapting, learning from their defeats. They're abandoning their old tactical doctrine, Nash reported during a strategy session. No more standard formations, no more predictable attacks. They're becoming creative. Good, Rodriguez said, surprising everyone. That's exactly what we wanted. It is, Sarah asked. Think about it, Rodriguez explained. The hegemony maintained control by keeping everything static, unchanging. Now they're being forced to innovate, to think differently. And that's threatening their entire society. She brought up a classified intelligence report. We're seeing fractures in their leadership. Some want to negotiate, others want to commit genocide. They're fighting among themselves for the first time in their history. Because we didn't just challenge their military, Sarah realized. We challenged their fundamental beliefs about their own superiority. Exactly. And now, Rodriguez was interrupted by urgent signals from multiple quantum frequencies. General, Sarah called, reading the incoming data. Mass quantum signatures detected. The hegemony, they're launching a full-scale assault. Not just against Earth, against every known allied world. How many ships? Nash asked tensely. All of them. They're committing their entire fleet. Thousands of ships. Rodriguez was quiet for a moment, then smiled. Finally, they're doing exactly what we hoped they would. We hoped they would launch an overwhelming attack. Sarah asked incredulously. We hoped they would commit everything to one massive strike, Rodriguez corrected. Because now they've given us the chance to end this war in one battle. She opened a channel to all Allied forces. This is General Rodriguez. Execute Operation Quantum Storm. This is what we've been preparing for. Sarah watched as Allied ships began appearing from quantum shadows throughout hegemony-controlled space. The Phoenix Protocol had spread, evolved, grown more powerful with each new species adding their innovations. The hegemony thought they were the most advanced civilization in the galaxy, Rodriguez said quietly. They never imagined that their conquered victims might surpass them. Together, we've created technologies they can't understand and tactics they can't counter. The Phoenix moved into position, leading the Allied fleet. The greatest space battle in galactic history was about to begin, and its outcome would determine not just humanity's fate, but the future of every species that had ever suffered under hegemony rule. All ships, all allies, Rodriguez commanded, her voice carrying across quantum frequencies to thousands of vessels. Show them what happens when the galaxy unites against tyranny. The Phoenix's quantum drive engaged, and the battle for freedom began. As the combined fleet engaged the hegemony forces, Dr. Sarah Chen made a discovery that changed everything. Deep in the Phoenix's quantum communications array, she detected a pattern she'd seen before, in ancient Earth transmissions. General Rodriguez, she called urgently. I need to show you something. The battle raged around them, quantum weapons tearing holes in space-time as Allied ships executed perfectly coordinated attacks. But what Sarah had found couldn't wait. These patterns, she explained, displaying complex quantum signatures. They're identical to signals we've detected from Earth's past, from archaeological sites dating back 50,000 years. Rodriguez studied the data while commanding the fleet. You're saying the hegemony visited Earth before? No. Sarah's voice shook slightly. I'm saying humans had quantum technology before. We didn't just reverse engineer it from their scout ship. We rediscovered what we'd lost. The revelation hit the bridge crew like a physical force. Lieutenant Patel spoke first. That's why we understood their technology so quickly. Some part of us remembered. Further discussion was interrupted as Nash reported new contacts. Massive quantum surge from the hegemony fleet. They're deploying something new. A vast ship emerged from quantum space, larger than anything they'd seen before. Its hull bore markings that made Sarah's blood run cold. They matched prehistoric cave paintings found on Earth. This is High Commander Ven of the hegemony. A new voice boomed across all frequencies. Your resistance ends now. You will witness the power that made us gods to primitive species eons ago. The massive ship fired, its weapon cutting through quantum shields like they didn't exist. 3 Allied vessels vanished instantly. How? Nash demanded. Our quantum shields. Because they designed the original technology, Sarah realized. They know its fundamental weaknesses. Rodriguez remained calm. Patel, analyze that weapon. Chen, get me everything you can about these ancient connections. Nash, keep the fleet coordinated. We need time. As the battle continued, Sarah dove deep into both quantum signals and archaeological data. The truth she uncovered was staggering. The hegemony didn't just visit Earth, she reported. They uplifted early humans, gave us technology, treated us like pets. But something went wrong. There was a rebellion. Human nature. Rodriguez nodded. We don't stay pets for long. The hegemony used their supreme weapon, the same one they're using now. It didn't just destroy our civilization. It erased our memory of it, made us start over. Patel looked up from her analysis. But they couldn't erase everything. The knowledge remained buried in our genes, in our collective memory. That's why Earth developed technology faster than any other species they encountered. We weren't learning. We were remembering. The massive hegemony ship fired again, destroying more Allied vessels. But Sarah noticed something odd about its quantum signature. "General," she said slowly, "I don't think that ship is just a weapon. It's a key. The quantum frequencies it's generating, they're unlocking something in human DNA. Memories." Images flooded Sarah's mind. Knowledge she couldn't possibly have, yet somehow did. Looking around, she saw other human crew members experiencing the same thing. "They're trying to restore our memories," Rodriguez gasped. "But why?" A new transmission cut through all others. This time, it came from within the Hegemony fleet. The speaker was Hegemony, but their voice carried desperation. "Humans of Earth, I am Sector Commander Lazara. What our leaders aren't telling you is the truth about why we fear you so much. You weren't just our pets. You were our greatest mistake. Your combination of intelligence, creativity, and defiance, it nearly destroyed us. The supreme weapon wasn't just used on Earth. We used it on ourselves, erasing our own memories of failure." The transmission continued despite attempts to cut it off. "But now you've relearned everything faster than we imagined possible. You've surpassed us in mere months. The High Command isn't trying to conquer you. They're trying to prevent you from remembering that you once nearly conquered us." Chaos erupted in the Hegemony fleet as this revelation spread. Ships began breaking formation, some turning on each other. The Hegemony's perfect unity. Rodriguez understood. It wasn't natural. It was enforced by selective memory erasure. Every time someone questioned their authority, they'd made them forget. Sarah finished. "But they can't make us forget again. We're ready this time." The supreme weapon fired again, but this time, the Phoenix was ready. The quantum shields had been reconfigured based on humanity's reawakening genetic memory. "All Allied ships," Rodriguez broadcast. "The Hegemony's weapon was built to make us forget our strength. But humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology or our memories. It's our ability to rise from defeat, to learn, to adapt. And this time, we're not alone." The combined fleet began moving in perfect synchronization, implementing strategies that blended multiple species' tactics with humanity's defiant creativity. The supreme weapon fired again and again, but could no longer penetrate their evolved defenses. The tide of battle had turned, but Sarah realized this was more than just a military victory. This was the moment when the galaxy's future would be decided, not by weapons or technology, but by the choice between enforced unity and collaborative diversity. As the Phoenix led the Allied fleet in their final attack run, Sarah wondered what other lost truths waited to be rediscovered, and what humanity might achieve now that the chains of forgotten history had finally been broken. The space around the Hegemony's supreme weapon blazed with quantum fire as centuries of suppressed truth and hidden history erupted into open conflict. The EDS Phoenix led the Allied fleet in an attack pattern that would have been impossible months ago. Ships moving in perfect harmony, their quantum fields interweaving to create something entirely new. "Multiple Hegemony vessels are powering down their weapons," Commander Nash reported. "They're receiving Lazara's transmission. More ships are breaking formation." On the Phoenix's bridge, Dr. Sarah Chen watched as the Hegemony's perfectly ordered fleet dissolved into chaos. Some ships fled, others turned on their former commanders, and a dedicated corps continued fighting with desperate intensity. "High Command is trying to activate the memory weapon at full power," she warned, reading the quantum signatures. "They're going to try to make everyone forget again, their own people included." General Rodriguez's expression hardened. "Not this time." Lieutenant Patel, initialize the quantum resonance protocol. "Ma'am." Patel looked uncertain. "It's never been tested at this scale. Humanity spent 50,000 years forgetting who we are," Rodriguez said firmly. "No one else should suffer that fate. Do it." Patel's hands flew across her console. The Phoenix's quantum drive began to pulse with a new frequency, one that matched the fundamental resonance of human DNA itself. Every human in the fleet felt it, a deep vibration in their cells awakening more lost memories. Broadcasting to all Allied ships, Rodriguez announced, The hegemony maintained power through forced forgetting. But memory isn't just data, it's who we are. All of us, every species. Channel power to your quantum shields. Let's show them what united memory can do. The Allied fleet began to glow with combined quantum energy. The Arcturus Collective, the Centauri Remnant, the Proxima Alliance, each added their own resonance to the field. Waves of quantum energy rippled through space, touching every ship, every being. On the Supreme Weapon, High Commander Venn made his final broadcast. "You fool. Without control, without enforced unity, the galaxy will descend into chaos." "No," Sarah responded, taking over communications. "Not chaos. Growth. What you call chaos, we call evolution. What you call unity, we call stagnation. Humanity remembers now. We remember that we chose defiance over submission, creativity over control. And we choose it again." The combined quantum field reached critical resonance. When the Supreme Weapon fired its memory-erasing beam, the energy was caught, reflected, amplified by the united consciousness of a dozen species working in harmony. "Quantum feedback loop established," Paddle reported with awe. "The weapon, it's affecting their own memory suppression technology." Throughout the hegemony fleet, crews began to remember, not just humans' ancient rebellion, but every act of resistance, every suppressed question, every erased doubt. The perfect unity of the hegemony shattered not through force, but through restored truth. The Supreme Weapon's power core destabilized, unable to handle the reflected energy. As it began to break apart, Sarah detected a final transmission from Lizara. "To all species who suffered under our rule, we remember now. We remember who we were before fear drove us to control others. We remember, and we are ashamed." The Supreme Weapon exploded in a cascade of quantum energy, but the Allied fleet's combined shields protected both sides from the blast. In its wake, the galaxy's greatest power lay not destroyed, but transformed. Hours later, as the Allied fleet secured the sector, Rodriguez called a meeting of all species representatives aboard the Phoenix. Sarah watched as former enemies sat together, sharing not just technology now, but history, culture, dreams. "What happens next?" she asked Rodriguez quietly. "Something unprecedented," the general smiled. "Real cooperation between species, not enforced by weapons or mind control, but chosen freely. Humanity's greatest gift to the galaxy wasn't our technology or our tactics. It was our stubborn refusal to accept artificial limitations." Zara of the Arcturus Collective joined them. "Your quantum resonance protocol, it did more than counter their weapon. It showed us all a new way to connect, to share knowledge across species. The possibilities are endless." That's what the hegemony never understood, Sarah realized. True strength doesn't come from enforced uniformity. It comes from diversity, from the combination of different perspectives and ideas. The Phoenix's quantum drive hummed softly as representatives from a dozen species began planning a new galactic order, one built on cooperation rather than control, on shared growth rather than enforced stagnation. "Humanity's first war among the stars is over," Rodriguez announced to the gathered beings. "Now the real work begins, building a future worthy of all our peoples." Sarah looked out at the stars, thinking of the long-buried memories now restored, the ancient wounds finally healing. Humanity had not just won a war. They had helped birth a new age of exploration, innovation, and collaboration. The Phoenix would continue to patrol the stars, not as a weapon of war now, but as a symbol of what was possible when different species chose to face the universe's challenges together. And somewhere out there, new adventures, new discoveries, and new challenges awaited. Because in the end, humanity's greatest victory wasn't defeating the hegemony. It was showing the galaxy a better way forward, not through conquest or control, but through the very traits that had once been seen as weaknesses: diversity, defiance, and the eternal drive to reach beyond imposed boundaries into the endless possibilities that waited among the stars.